I'm not sure if I dig the music. I just beat a sickness thing, and now it's back. Good team. What a good time. That's better. That we can rock to, alright? This, click, that, boom, bam, everything should be good. Boom! Hi, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stream. Oh boy, I got so many things to talk to you guys about. Yes, I have no plans, but also, let me tell you some stuff before we get into it. Lone Sika says, what's up, Grin? How are you? I'm doing pretty good, Lone Sika. How are you, buddy? Hopefully you've been taking care of yourself in the downtime. We've been apart, which is a day, but hopefully you've been good. Also, what's good, Fluff? Hopefully, honestly, Fluff deserves all of the good that kid have because he's got the kidney stone thing. But, ladies and gentlemen, I wish I had an image to show you. But, you know how I made the whole thing where I was like, hey, I've been in a state of constant motion ever since, was it Sunday? No, ever since Friday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we were doing things. Like, we woke up at 8, and then you were on your feet all the way until, like, 5. But, not even just that. Not even that you're just on your feet, but that you're not moving. You're basically stuck in a shop and just, like, standing in one said place for, like, 8 hours, and then doing like little things with a squeegee or something. But I thought, like, you know, is what it is. You know, this is what we do on occasion. You know, sometimes work gets gross and bad, and we just gotta pull through. But on the third day, Sunday, when I was done streaming, I went to cut my hair and then get in the shower, and then I looked at my feet, and my feet were like beyond swollen. And then I was like, hey, I'm going to see if this is normal. So then I asked someone to come look at it, some person who was in my house. They said, no, dude, that's not normal. Did you notice that your calf was also giant? And I was like, no, I didn't. And then, I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but when someone is like holding water, but basically, I just pushed on my calf, essentially, like the front part of my calf. It's like the front part of your leg, I guess, below your thigh, below your knee, I mean. And I pushed on that, and it literally made like a concave dent. And I've seen people who have had the like water retention thing, and it's like a little bit of a give. It's like this. Maybe it's just gonna add more meat or muscle or fat on my leg, but it made a fucking huge concave thing that did not form back. So you push a divot, and there's a literal giant concave thing in my leg. It was disgusting and horrible. And it's either kidney problems, God in heaven, hope that's not it, or it's just that I was literally standing in one spot and not doing it, and then the blood just permeates in your legs, and then it creates this weird swelling thing. So that happened, and also you go and you're waking up at 8, and then you're like in a state of constant motion with no break, not even lunch, nothing. You're just going. So then we got to, like today came around, Monday came around, and I think Monday finally took me, basically I was like, I'm shocked. We've been moving in constant motion for 3 days, and all I got is these giant fucking big ass feet, weird symptoms, right? So then I was like, okay, well that's probably it, right? And then Monday came around, I was doing pretty good. Monday was slowly starting to come down again, but then Tuesday comes, and I guess it's like your body eventually realizes, wait, we can start to relax, like we can start to like, we're not moving anymore. Okay, here's all of the shit that I was holding back because you couldn't deal with it right now, and I just feel fucking gassed, dude. I'm just done. Oh man. Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. I have to tell you guys this. I spent like a decent chunk of my morning crying, like not hard crying, but crying, and I feel like I'm gonna even start crying now. Now, I'm not an emotional wreck, although I am, but not in this way. I told you guys the next show I was going, so I'm feeling really out of it, and also I didn't get a Sunday to kind of decompress and just not do anything, so my brain's feeling scattered. That's why I'm not really interested in, like, I didn't play Wonderlands today, I didn't really do anything. I edited all yesterday, and that was something I could stomach. But I'm just really not in like I feel like, get away from me. Get away from me. And I'm really, really good about like saying, fuck you, you're doing it. And then you do it, right? But when it gets to this point, it's a little bit like static in your head. It's like you're moving forward, but your everything in your body is fighting you, so you're not able to make any ground. It feels weird. Anyways, so I ended up watching a certain show. Oh my god, called The Ranking of Kings. And dude, I am up to episode 3 right now. Every single episode that I've watched has made me cry. Okay? Like, genuinely tear up. Not because of, like, not always because of, like, its sadness. And it's not even, like, built in such a way that makes it so that it feels like, you know how when you're watching shows, it's like a horror movie or like a depressing show. A lot of the things that they do is like, here's a character, I'm going to make you like them, I'm going to show you why they matter, and then I'm going to take them away, and you're going to be left with this feeling of emptiness. The show doesn't do that, but the show does show the trauma that these people go through, or that these people are having to face, and then how they kind of subvert your expectation or like push beyond that idea, beyond the suffering that people show them. And man, I'm only at episode 3, and that's also some people could be like, but Grin, you're gonna get fine when you get to episode 4 and 5. It would blow me away, man. It's way harder to make somebody feel emotionally like sorrowful or like wrecked in the first episode, because you have no built-in will with the characters. You have no like this or that. It also could just be that I'm like really tired and sick. That I'm like, oh. But man, that show is again, right now it has 100% batting average of making me tear up, and I'm not like just viscerally crying, but I'm sitting there like, stop it, stop. Don't do this, not now, you pussy. Come on. And it's awesome. The Ranking of Kings is it's also one of the things about that show. Sorry we're talking so much in the beginning here. We will get into like re-rolling. We're just kind of stuck in that hell. It's not a very attractive prospect to re-roll more, at least right now. But on that Ranking of Kings show, when I first seen it, I'm sure some of you guys probably seen it in passing. It has this weird art style to it where it kind of feels out of place in a way, or at least when passing by, you're kind of like, it's a little weird. Kind of like Mob Psycho is a good way to phrase it. Although Mob Psycho got a lot of help from One Punch Man, kind of paving the ground. But what do you call it? This show, like 2 minutes into the show, you're like, oh, I get it. Oh, I understand why the art style is like this. It's one of those. But man, it's funny because I'm thinking in my head while watching it, how am I going to communicate the wonder of this show? And because I don't want to make it sound like it's something that's like super distraught. Like when I say I cried, I think people have a tendency to think, oh man, I don't want to be like an emotional wreck, like, you know, seeing people in distraught or seeing people suffer. I don't want to do that. And it's not that though. That's the thing I want to stress. It's like not like I've never felt like immediately detached, like so fucking sad and unhappy with the outcome that I just want to disconnect. No, it's like these people had to go through suffering, but here they are as they are, which gives reason for them being the way they are. Anyways, sorry. I just wanted to talk to you guys about it because I thought I've never experienced a show getting me that quickly. And also, like, it's in the first episode. Like, what are the odds of something's sorrowfulness or like skill of writing for them to get you in the first episode and make you tear up? It's wild. But also, the first episode doesn't necessarily have things that are incredibly depressing. It's just like the wonder that this person has, like this innocent, kind kid called Boji. Dude, I can't wait to watch it. It's one of the ones where I feel like I want to keep watching it because it continues to like do those things to you. Like, and also, again, I haven't left it being like, I'm depressed. You know, I've always left it being like, that's beautiful. You know, it's a beautiful moment. So I can't wait to talk to you guys about it and actually show you guys clips of stuff, you know, like our thing. Although I still have to upload one of the assassination one. But regardless, let me catch up on what's going on with you guys. It's far more interesting to me, but I appreciate y'all letting me vent. But Flo says, personal health update. Had my follow-up appointment today. Not certain if the kidney stone has passed yet, but I've been relatively pain-free for a few days. Being advised to cease taking any supplements with what's that? Calcium. Okay, calcium. Okay. I think, what do you call it, Fluff? I think if you were in Canada, man, that'd be a hard thing. Cause I think calcium is it calcium? I don't know. No, it's not calcium. It's vitamin D, something, some sort of sun. I think it's vitamin D. Vitamin D is put in everything with us because we have long winters with not a lot of light. So they're like, don't die. Also, we're not doing that. We're doing re-rolling, although I need to make sure I have a backup save. I know that. Oh, we go. We're just looking for barrage, dude. Fire damage. Do spellcast stuff. Also, man, I seen some more Saints Row gameplay. And there's not enough like information to make people like, oh my god, look at this cool new Saints Row stuff. But it's still something. Essentially, I seen somebody like there was a leak about the Saints Row reboots, skill tree and perks, and that was actually, it's something. It's something. Also, one thing I did notice, which in some of the special unlocks for the guns that you know you can like in Saints Row that we've seen images of people like taking a pistol and turning them into like boxing glove pistols where like they shoot a literal boxing glove springy thing that like flaps an enemy in the head. That apparently has a built-in perk to it. So that can like, I think there was one that like when you fire and you get a critical headshot, you have a chance of summoning a grenade or summoning a missile. So it's like, oh shit, that's actually a pretty huge skin to put on your weapons. So I'm like, okay. And then I seen some more gameplay that said that like if you do certain things for certain people, you get various perks or like skills. Sorry, so one of the skills is like throwing a grenade down someone's pants and chucking people. We've heard about that beforehand, but apparently there's an uppercut ability, which is pretty sick. But yeah. Reed says, how much longer till we quit playing this game? Reed, I am hopeful for the future, especially with the consistent updates and the hot fixes. Although, to me, man, again, I don't know. Like, it's always been not surprising. But, to me, I think there's a lot of ways that they can just bring this game back. And maybe that's being a little, naive, you could say, or whatnot. But I truly believe that. Like, there's so many assets in this game that I think they could use. I just think they have yet to do that, and maybe it's coming. Maybe they have no interest in that. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I'm still hopeful for the game, man, and I still think it's possible to have a good time in it because I think the bones of Wonderlands is really, really good. I do think they've been on like kind of like one of the things I've seen from people, which I agree with, is it seems like they have a pretty big disconnect from what people are actually, and maybe it's selfish to say this to some extent, but I do kind of agree with it, but it's the problems that people genuinely have are not being kind of addressed. So like, again, one of the things was the mass buff to Torg sticky weapons. People kind of were like, Torg weapons were not even in a bad place necessarily, and the sword explosion was not great, but it's like you buffed it to a degree in which it became the best, whereas there's still like Jacobs, there's still all of these guns that are kind of lagging behind. And also they haven't addressed like the big scaling issues with every other class. So it's kind of a weird thing. Reed says, love it, but super no, Reed. Okay, if that's where you're coming from, Reed, I feel you, buddy. But also, I feel like we just need another game to play, Reed. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like, I always feel this way when I'm like, for me, whenever I experience burnout, I immediately just look at something else that can capture my attention, essentially. So for me, Saints Row to me is a nice equilibrium for me. The idea of like, here's this looter shooter, it's fast paced, you're going, and then here's this fun co-op game where you're customizing weirdo characters, putting on cool clothes, conquering a city. Like, it's a nice like home away from home. You know what I mean? But I agree. I think it's a little burnt out, but also I feel like the game gets worse when it comes to burnout if you don't have a point of focus, which right now Gearbox has been doing, in my opinion, not the greatest job about focusing. Like, again, I think the idea of the gates or the doors could have been a really good thing if it wasn't worth the money. That's evident, at least for me. I don't believe it was worth the money invested into the DLC. But if there was one version of, say, the shark guy that guaranteed dropped a lot of the cosmetics specifically for the special DLC Headhunter pack, and then maybe tier 3 uploaded special new guns, and then tier 4 maybe had a couple more legendaries or a brand new special unique mirror weapon that is a different faction altogether, something, that would have been nice. And also the fact that like it is such an easy thing, in my opinion, to solve. You have variability. Like, imagine if there was a legendary that there was like a version of Sword Explosion that could drop with an insane variability, you know? Imagine that. So not only were you like, okay, we could dedicate a couple streams, a point of focus, we could dedicate to farming tier 3 of Chum and getting a lot of those cool cosmetics. We could do that for like 4 streams. That could be our point of focus for that time period, right? And that would capture our attention for a good bit until we got all the cosmetics and we were ready to go. Also, we could have the next week, we could have more legendaries or something like that. But also, if they ever were like, hey, the legendaries that we're now introducing with this weird, Chum or whatever his name is, these ones don't have limitations. So you can get a ×5 or a ×18 of a Torgue shotgun legendary type in this thing. It's really rare, but you can get it. To me, that would be something to hunt. That'd be a point of focus. But none of that, it seems to exist, and it seems like if it does exist, it's either there's like 3 drops, and it's either times 2 or times 6 or then times 18. It's not like there's variability gradually. Maybe that'd be harder to code. But yeah, I think the main problem the Gearbox is fading right now is that there's no point of focus. There's no thing that you're trying to achieve and do, which used to be legendaries, getting the perfect version of it, getting the perfect build, but now builds are incredibly easy to get because there's a very built-in static thing. Also, when you have something that's good, you kind of have something good forever. Like you have spell damage, and you have there's no. I think this is the one thing I've heard from people saying there's too many class, like the class mods kind of get too scattered. It's when you have one good class mod, you can just give that to another person and they're good. In Borderlands 3 and 2 and etc., you had to hunt for a very specific class mod, right? It was special to your class. So there wasn't so much trading off, but like every single thing I could use here could be given to every single other character I have, and there again diminishes the point of focus, the grind, and it sucks because to me there are a lot, like Wonderlands addressed a very good problem with like the fact that randomness kind of became so demoralizing. Like the fact that you would farm a boss and this boss had like 15 drops and you would just keep not getting the fucking one drop. And then even in that one drop, there's variability in that one drop. So you're like, God damn it. But now we have systems that actually help us with that insane variability and like shoehorn ourselves down one shield path, one ring path, one gun, like a pistol path. But now they've taken away the variability. So it's like, well, you made it easier to get the thing that you want, but simultaneously made it even more easy to where it's like, yeah, it just feels like, wait, you misjudgment, I think. But that could just be me. But I don't think it is. I think that's the sense I get from a lot of people in the community. Also, sorry, Lone Syndicate, I didn't catch up on you, buddy. Lone Syndicate says, I hope you are okay, my friend. I'm doing good. I hope I bounce back. I'm kind of in this, like, super demotivated kind of place within content, and I was burning like a phoenix. Cringe. But it was true. I was, like, gung-ho for a while there. I still think I am. I find myself deviating from my plan of, like, waking up every morning, reviewing not strategy, but systems that will help you do things, like accounting for what makes a title of a video. I find it hard for me to look at it right now, and maybe it's because I've been doing it for like 3 months straight. But my troubles aside, I think it'll bounce back. I think I just need to find a new perspective of things a little bit. But yeah. Fluff says, to help reduce the chance of more stones, or less calcium, gotcha, and otherwise we'll continue taking prescriptions to renewal till the end of the week. If no further pain occurs or worsens, I'll consider it passed. I hope so. Don't throw in the towel too soon. Please. What happened last time a little bit. Lone Singed says, also Fluff, glad to hear you're pain-free for a few days. Yes. So you are saying the art style is built into the anime story and background. No, to me, Lone Syndicate's more of like, I think the art style could be perceived as like janky, because it's very stylized. Like, there's literally like a queen that has like a freakishly pointy nose. The main kid, our main protagonist, has like a V as a mouth. But I think it's what it does, and it's really beautiful in this way. The world is in disorder, but it's also very bright. But in that disorder, and in that kind of slight, like, weird shape to faces, weird shape to eyes, when they finally like take this like these kind of weird edges, these like weird design choices for faces, for mouths, etc., they can kind of put a face back together, and it makes like the warm, happy blush, the emotions of that character kind of come more alive. So it's like there's like a disorder to the art style, like an offset kind of stylization to it. But eventually that stylization like pivots back and creates these like complete one-to-one wonderful images of a person like smiling and like truly being sincere in their the kindness that they were shown, and being over the moon because of that kindness shown. And I think it's in that disorder that makes it even more contrast of actually having such a big payoff, or at least to me hitting harder. Fluff says, while as far as while as far as the food and such, it's fine, but supplements have plenty of other chemicals and maybe more than necessary. Also might have been the cause of kidney stones, so I'll cut that out. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I try it for sure. I don't know. The whole supplement thing is always a weird one for me, where I feel like, I feel like it doesn't always add up. Like people say processed, like, oh, these are like these processed vitamins. You need to get like whole grain or like not whole grain, but you need to get these natural fish oils or something. And I'm like, everything is processed. Like you're using a word that is overly general for one or two things. But absolutely, like take it out and see if that helps. But I don't know. I would, because also there's the take a step back and say, well, wouldn't this mean that everybody who's taking supplements would have kidney things? I don't know. I think that'd be a weird cause, because I feel like everyone would have a high drove of people, or a percentage of people who take supplements who are like, oh shit, I have kidney stones on higher probability. I think people would be terrified of that prospect, and they wouldn't take supplements for that matter. But I just think with the mass of people who take various supplements, I guess it also depends on what supplements you're taking. But yeah. Fluff says also, and still have other things that culminate without inorganic sources. Gotcha. Element of damage, spell damage, lightning damage, poison. Man, barrier doesn't exist, yeah? Shit. Fluff says, I've been jumping between other games, newer and older, to keep myself from burning out. But I feel the DLC is rolling out far too slowly to feel like this game loop will be staying fresh. That's also probably true. I can see that. Although I also think it's relative to like I think about the previous like Wonderlands or Borderlands community, where in my experience people have been pretty nuts when it comes to like just like subsisting on nothing, So like this is the first time we've had an actual end game in Borderlands, and it's funny that, well, I think it's because the end game is in a way limited the other things. Like it's kind of crazy to me that you don't get like a guaranteed legendary every single time you fight a boss, because it's way more. It's like that means it's way better, more efficient to do the chambers. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be some equilibrium for both of these things that you could do to be valuable to do. Otherwise, people will just cost benefit and say, if value is way too centered on one outcome, which is, basically farming for all kinds of gear in the chaos chambers, then you'll never farm for the bosses. So then, yeah, people will just always farm for the bosses. Or sorry, always farm for chaos chambers and not farm for the bosses. So there needs to be a balancing act of like you could still farm bosses, and that's really good for getting specific gear. But in the game, because of the openness of the chaos chambers, it just doesn't seem like it's worth. Unless you're going to have weekends where there's one new legendary relegated to one particular boss that's only attained not even through chaos chambers at all, but just through that boss. Then there's a reason to at least do that one boss. Which is, at least there's two things that you could do, right? But then again, it's not just the one problem in Wonderlands. It also seems like the incentive structure for getting, once you get that legendary, you're like, done. Whereas if there was thousands of variability on that legendary, then you're like, okay, well, can I get a better one? Is there such a thing as a better one? What does the perfect one even look like? Okay, well, I got a couple. That one has that mod. That one has that mod. That one has times 18. Okay, wait, what? If I can get this with that, holy shit, and then your brain starts getting excited. But if that doesn't happen, then you're kind of just stuck in this limbo of like, got it, all right, I guess I'm done. You know. Lone Singet says those 18 extra chaos levels had me like, nope, I'm good. I still haven't reached. Yeah, man, I get it. I think the chaos level thing is also a mistake. I think that one, because again, I don't like. Some people could be like, well, see, that's a point of focus. I don't think so, man. A point of focus has to be something that you are wanting to go hunt for. You know, again, like the process I just told you guys about like finding out that a weapon can come in times 18. Also finding out that it can have a special mod that gives you like, when a weapon is thrown, it also becomes pixies. Okay, double value. Now I need to find one that is that plus my element that my build's doing. Cryo. Awesome. I'm excited to get that. I'm excited to keep getting one after the other because bit by bit I'm getting closer. Maybe I don't get the times 18, but maybe I get the cryo. Maybe I get pixies sometimes too. And that's exciting. That's a venture I want to go on. The idea of like that thing that I already just did and now I'm gonna like, yeah, the whole chaos level increase without being able to skip is just, to me, void of reason. Like it doesn't add up to what, like, account for the nature of how your players play and why they play in the way that they play. But again, maybe they know more than me about what's happening for sure, and they have some sort of grand plan. I would love to see it. Yes, I want this game to do well, etc. Reed says, to your point about the sword explosion buff, I sincerely believe they are buffing items to Mets in order to get people grinding for. Yeah, no, I understand that, man. That's not a bad perspective, but I also think that like it's a horrible reaction to it, because I think that makes sense, right? Like they're like, hey, we'll buff one thing at a time to make people have the desire to hunt for them. But they didn't. They like if they were to do that, there's I think a smart way to do it where it could be like, hey, now there's a times 8 or a times 10 a sword explosion. Now there's one that can come with I don't know, detonates with like something, just not anything. It can have like a prefix at the bottom that says it increases elemental damage for enemies stuck or something, you know. But instead, you get the one sword explosion that is pretty huge, that is cryo, maybe times 3. You're done. You're done. And then people are like, well, that, okay. You're like, well, shit, you know? So there's that's missing. That desire to want to find the best version, I think, is gone. Which I think is the whole point of why people kept playing this game so vigorously, or why people played Borderlands so vigorously. But yes, I just forgot to delete this character because he has no stuff anymore. We'll do that. Jump back into this. No, this. Damn it. This. Ba 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 ba. Fluff says, I got to level 35 without much issue. My melee build is really is working fairly well on every boss and aren't too melee friendly. Yeah, no, there's definitely, again, I think that like the level 35 was weird because I think most people could just jump to level 35 without having to like grind specifically each gear, because it's just like, again, this is something that I don't mean to be toxic, but it's something that I think you should have seen when playtesting. Like, what is the feeling that you get when you have 35 more levels or 15 more levels to push through, and not one of them is giving even a single feeling of resistance? Also, you have this overarching thing that is there's this new best kind of gear, so every single time you clear a dungeon, it's wasted time because you're not having any probability of getting a gear that you want. Also, maybe we shouldn't have the absolute smallest percentage chance. We have a 17% chance to get volatile gear, and we have a 1% chance to get primordial gear. Does that signal to your player the feeling of wanting to hunt something? Probably not. Probably not. Or it signals, man, this is such a low percentage, I need to get to that percentage as soon as humanly possible because I'm just stuck if I don't. Like, I'm being inefficient if I don't, sorry. Reed says, entire games has been ruined. Chaos Chambers to find class mods. Entire game has been running Chaos Chambers to find class. Yeah, I know. Class mods is the whole thing too. Entire end game is more accurate. The first run through the story was enjoyable, but very much not replayable outside of the possible needing to create a new primary class. Yeah. Again, to me, the reason why I'm not saying this game is like even close to like throwing in the towel is because there's so many ways that they could turn on switches that could give us access to a grander end game. I think they're just trying to slowly do that. I don't think that's gonna pay off if they're too slow about it. Like again, we talked about this all the time, but like the idea that there's like the Pokemon free roaming encounters where if there was a special weapon that they could drop for that encounter, then people could do that event, and that would be a little different. That'd be a little something to do. There's like dungeons. There's like areas in the game that we haven't been to. So if there was a special area that dropped that a certain boss summoned, even though it was just a badass that had a special name, like they did in Borderlands 3, they could drop a specific unique weapon, then we'd be good. But I feel like they don't know how to be kind of quote unquote the bad guy to one side or the other. Like they keep doing this thing where, hey, this one piece of gear, if you just beat the one enemy, you do this one act, you know what, all the time we spent into making this activity, yeah, fuck it, you just do it once and then everything is attained in the chaos chambers. And it's just like what the heck's the point of making the thing? Just put it in the chaos chambers. Like it's weird. Benefits on how to work in the prior entries was more variation of specific drop pools and more direct access to challenging content like the raid boss. Yeah, that was also something that surprised me, man. That's like one of the undisputed, like most loved DLCs in all of like Borderlands history was the fucking Maliwan takeover event. Like that was one of the things that people constantly patted on the back and said that was fantastic. And yet that doesn't really exist here. I mean, we have like maybe you could say that's the Chaos Chambers, but I think I heavily misses the mark if that's the Chaos Chambers. Like it was challenging content where you were fighting an onslaught of enemies, and yeah, I don't know. And I don't think people, I don't know if people love objectives in their Slaughterfest. I don't think it's, now granted the objectives in their Slaughterfest are actually pretty chill. Granted, some of them make no sense, like melee. Like it's like, but there's like literally almost no way to do melee damage if you have a certain build. There's also no way to stay on a point if you're doing a melee build. So it's almost impossible to do all of the objectives unless you're weirdly spread thin. And even then, they're starting to nerf certain things that reach a certain amount of damage. So I guess they don't want us doing that much damage is also a perspective, I think. I don't know. But yes. But yeah, other things are able to exist that let us do a lot of damage. Granted, those things still seemingly exist. Granted, there's a weird, again, I think the one thing that's throwing people off, including myself, is the ring nerf, where it's just like, it doesn't seem like it did anything besides make it so that people's previous investment is somehow lower than what they, like, yeah, I don't think they achieved, I don't want to be mean. I don't think they achieved anything, but I don't want to be mean. I'm roasting. Low Syndicate says there are specific legendaries that only drop from bosses like the Donkey or AR, but most of them are rather lackluster. It also doesn't help that most weapons types suck rocket launchers, snipers, and shot. Yeah, most of them. Well, I don't know, because to me it's weird because there's things that like they have in the game that make sense. Like you can take your spell damage and put it into ability damage. So it's like, okay, well, you know, if you wanted to amp up your ability damage, you have a way to do that. There's no way to take your spell damage or your ability damage or your melee damage and put it into gun damage. So it's just like guns are weirdly lagging behind in that regard as well. It has been stated by 2K that Wonderlands has been so successful that they will be continuing it as its own franchise. Well, that's good. I also think people are hungry for a game like this. Like, again, it's all, you know, that was also always a thing that made me baffled as well. Like, Saints Row was always a very, very good selling game, regardless of criticism. It was always like co-op fun, customization, people seeing streamers playing it and they bought it. Like, it was always a financially stable game. Wonderlands and Borderlands and all those games have always been financially stable. At least to me, they've always seemed like they sold well. So there's a clear built-in hunger for them. But I think there's so many companies that don't really understand why people love them so much and what the effect of it is in the player's mind and why they're hunting for what they're hunting. And I've always found this stuff kind of fascinating. So part of me is like, you know, like, hey, why do people get a kick out of hunting one item specifically? Well, it's because it's chase and because it's constantly the improvement system. It's kind of like getting XP, except more interesting because you have variability. You're constantly getting a dopamine hit every single time you get something to drop, especially when each drop could potentially be better than the last. But yeah. Also, that, like, again, there's so many things that are good about Wonderlands as well. You know, like the co-op idea, where we can share things. It's cross-play. Yeah. Again, I don't think Wonderlands is off the deep end yet. I just do think it's. I hope in this next month we can see. Honestly, the next big thing. I want to make a video talking about the Headhunter pack, kind of like the chum. And try to add, like, not try to just be reductive, but try to add what they could do to account for the variability that I see within players. Trying to be helpful, I guess. But whatever happens with the next door, the next boss, will be to me where I start to say, all right, we're fucked. Or it was just a weird level 35 increase. Here we go. we're looking better, okay? But we'll see. What is good, Cap? Cap says, we need Tiny to tell a new D&D store. Oh, Tina. Not Tiny, sorry. We need Tina to tell a new D&D store. Yeah, man, that'd be cool. It's funny because if Wonderlands sold so well, I wonder why they didn't do the DLC stuff. And even then, man, like, if you think about Headhunter packs, if you think about Borderlands 2... Now, if you think about DLC for Borderlands 2, like, this is the game that came from one of the bigger DLCs in a whole ass Borderlands 2, right? So to me, it's an interesting take where they're like, well, wait, we'll give you guys like essentially a Headhunter pack, but in the past, it's like a significant loss within Headhunter pack, you know? Like a Headhunter pack used to have like a bunch of side quests, a raid boss, and now one door, which I think is more than a Headhunter pack, is literally just one. Also used to have a bunch of legendaries, but now we just get one boss and like a couple encounter and like the same encounter to be played over again. It just seems like this seems like anybody would be like, this is a net loss. This is a net loss. I don't know what's happening. Also, I like with Chum, I don't know anybody who is like, yay, I get to fight an enemy that has multiple different phases, and like the number one killed enemy in the entire game, frankly, maybe in the entirety of all Borderlands, is Trant, because he didn't have an immunity phase, and people just wanted to shoot him and kill him, and as fast as humanly possible. Like, there's so many awesome bosses that I'm sure you don't know about because you only fought them once and ran away because it's this game is always, it was like advertised always a billion guns, a bunch of grenade mods, like it's a gear game, but yet it's kind of built as like, we made this challenging boss where he like throws like a tornado at you, and it's just kind of like, okay. Like, even if you look at like Terramorphous and whatnot, like these grandiose characters, think about it. Did they have like the most crazy, like, dodge this bitch, do that? No, it's like you even in Borderlands 2, if you had Krieg, you just used sword explosion to nuke the one guy, or not sword explosion, you'd blood explosion to just nuke a character. You'd use Furiors to just nuke a character as well if you're playing any other character. So like, to me, that's just a weird perspective. It's like, you know what our people want? A harder boss to fight. It's like, what? Yeah, but also they did add cool legendaries. Granted, some of them don't have variability, and they're like, does anybody even remember the firework one, or the dynamite spell? That's kind of a joke, but it's true. It's, yeah. But maybe that's their also tactic. That's something that also existed within Borderlands 3, where it seemed like they realized that by upgrading guns and like reshifting, balancing, it kept the community kind of engaged about like, oh, these legendaries that I never acknowledged, they're now worth a damn. Let me invest in them. Let me see what's going on with them. And that's kind of neat. I'm not sure if that's what they're aiming to do, but yes. Lone Singer says, my favorite unique enemy from Borderlands 3 was the SpongeBob enemy. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Fluff says, If not for the dungeons being decent applicant soak status, they'll still remind no heavy to use in Wonderland. I wanted to use things like the Caroser or Skeep prod, but I see. Neither are worth the yeah, that's also a lot of things. There seems like there's a lot of things that aren't worth it. And maybe it's because Wonderland's like legendaries and balancing was decided way before the fact. So now with each, like, if in order for the game to sequence perfectly, maybe we need to have access to all the doors and all the legendaries that reside within each door, and that kind of balance out each other. So some things that are underperforming, they may actually perform way better if you have a certain class mod, if you have a certain shield, but that's not out yet. So people are kind of like, what the fuck is this? This is useless. Like, what, when your shield's full, do you have any idea how hard it is to keep your shield full? Like, what? Yeah. So yeah, weirdness essentially. Let's switch over to this, delete this, explore one person, jump over here, paste. Oh, my tummy's turning. Ooh. Scott says, "What was there going to be a new class?" Yeah. It might. We don't know when it's going to be, Scott. Though it might be. I think it's probably going to be the third door. I don't know if it's going to be the second door. It'd be cool if it was the second door. What do you guys think this second class is going to be? My toss-up is a melee class or a melee adjacent class that kind of fixes the other support melee classes. Because it's not really like a built-in melee class. It's a lot of like ability kind of melee stuff, or like here's some melee stuff on top. But I would be hard-pressed, as much as I would like a melee main class. I do think there's like a high probability that they're going to put in the most iconic D&D class in the game, which is the Bard. I think it's going to be a Bard. Also, I don't know. I don't know what they'll do with the Bard, though. It'll probably be some sort of mix with the Bard and something else. But I don't know what they will do with the Bard. Because, yeah, I feel like this, what do you call it? Clawbringer is already kind of like a support class, you know? So, we'll see. But that'd be my guess, what the new class is going to be. Cap says, I read that the next installment needs to be far less quiet, especially in far less quiet, especially in Endgame. Not saying Tina and the other celeb VAs need to be chatting your ear off into the Endgame, but the music and ambience. Borderlands 2 still has some of my favorite bits of music, especially Ice. Yeah. There's a lot of things there, but to me, my brain always goes back to, like, I feel like there is like a baseline budget on what you need to spend things on, and I will say that's always one of those ones where I'm like, why are we spending money on AAA actors when you know I could be going for probably a lot of development for a person, and maybe the actors are like, no, I make millions. What are you talking about? I'll take a loss here just to be in a fun experience. I don't know. That would devalue their current like options or jobs, you know? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, it's a little odd for me, at least. But also, you guys know me. I'm not very much of a story person. As much as I like a story, I think if there's a story versus gameplay, I'll take gameplay. You know, or an end game, or like more things to do rather than a way of telling that said thing to do. You know, because one is one way, and the other one is multiple possible potential ways. I'm guessing the DLC is partially was in the works during the pandemic, whilst the base game had plenty of work done before 2020. Yeah, that's what they made it sound like. They made it sound like this game was in development for a long time, and that they already had most of it done when COVID hit, so they kind of just wrapped it up, I guess. Oh, it's possible, ladies and gentlemen. Dreams can happen. Jesus Christ. Okay, why do I have two? That just gives me anxiety. Oh, we have it. We fucking have it, dude. What a nightmare. One of them. We have one of them in alignment. Alright, well, we have the barrage one. Gives us some good AoE, as well as doubling our damage, as long as cryo is hitting relatively hard, which it should. But yes. Noticing it says, it does help that the most unique enemy doesn't drop anything remarkable, making it pointless to farm themed Some don't even respond. Yeah, man. Which, like, again, in Borderlands 3, that was something that the community was talking about constantly, which was, why are no legendaries tied to bosses? Like, this is something that we've been doing always within Borderlands. Like, it was just this moment of like what? And in Wonderlands, they've seemed like they've improved. There's a good bit of enemies or bosses that drop XYZ gear. They're unique to them. But it still kind of has that but now there's just a different problem. Like, it's almost like, we heard you guys, we changed it in the next game. But it's also like, but you've added chaos chambers, which makes them fundamentally useless to do boss killing at all. And also, it's not like, if they did that, if they said, hey, boss kills specifically have a higher probability to drop primordial gear to like 20 or 30%, then it'd be like, okay, if you want to get a specific fucking dynamite roll, go fight the boss. And then if you want to get a bunch of general gear, go fight the thing. And even if you're playing co-op, it's still way scaled to farm, what is it called? Chaos chambers. So it's like, farm the chaos chambers. If you have co-op, you got a bunch of crystals, you'll be able to roll the dice plenty to where that 20% isn't actually that good. But if you don't have that, then there's still this other option to nail and get the best primordial piece of gear. Now, that doesn't solve the entire problem, because legendaries suck ass. So even if you're like, it's like, oh yay, I'm gonna farm, well, I need purples though, so chaos chambers would still be good. But that's just an overarching problem that leaves me lost. That like, it's every legendary, dude. It's like almost every single legendary is absolute trash, like in comparison to anything else. And if what do you call it? There's no like variability. So if you just have a shit ton of gun damage, then anything will do damage. But yeah. So there's no like, hey, the sword explosion, very good for single target, but manages to have a lot of reload speed. If only there was certain enchantments and builds that could reduce reload speed, so that it would actually be worth the squeeze. Ooh, who knows? But instead, no. They're like, no. Every legendary is kind of balanced out. You don't really see any that do more than 500 damage. You don't really see anything that does anywhere near a kind of a specific fire rate. Anyways, being a little toxic, but it is what it is. But we got the one gun, so that's good. We've done that. What is the next thing that we need to roll a bunch on? Also, we have so many things to look at. All right, well, we got that one done. I think we have a wand that had something on it, but we have that. So we have the barrage one. We have cryo damage on activation of action skill. Then we need something on our spell. What should we use for spells, though? Should we use this one, the meteorite? It's kind of good and give you some AoE range. Is it better than the spell shot? Probably. Or the Buffmeister? That's also the other thing. How did Buffmeister happen? It's just like, what? It just buffs your damage by 80%. And it gives you damage on top of whatever you're doing. And it also buffs 3 types of damage. Like 3 types of damage. It's just like, what? Who was the guy who was like, yeah, this won't be the only spell anybody uses ever? And then the guy who is like, maybe we should make a spell that does like range damage but counts as melee damage. And then he was immediately shot and killed because what the fuck? Anyways, sorry. What are we doing? Let's go here. Oh, I was rolling spells. That's what happened. Boom. Hey, if we get dark magic here, we might be able to change our, because this one has lower, probably like a lower thing. So if we get cryo on our spell, with this being also a cryo spell, that would actually not be the worst. But we don't have that many rolls of it, just like our pistol. So unlucky. In fact, I think it's gonna be worse. We're gonna be able to roll it like twice. Oh. Fluff says, yeah, most unique drops come from quest rewards and can additionally be acquired from vending machines if you're lucky, let alone get one volatile or primordial. Yeah, that's nothing. I mean, you can do the whole save thing like we're doing right now. So before you hand in a quest, you make a save. You run it constantly, which we might do. Actually, I want to make one of the very messy fire build at some point, which maybe the next one we do. Although I wanted to make a gun build, but I feel like they're going to address spell shot in some way soon, so best get in what you can, I guess. Fluff says, yeah. Oh, no, I read that. Unfortunately, they... Also, what's good, Red? I see you popping, buddy. Hi. Hope you're having a lovely day. Love to see you. Also, that mod, goddamn, Red, that's actually, as much as it's not my cup of tea in terms of, like, the idea of things. Also, isn't that called scaling? Regardless, what do you call it? It's expertly done. I haven't seen many mods that do that actual, like, the whole remodeling of a whole-ass character. You know what I mean? That's impressive. Well done, boy. Also, Lone Syndicate says, it doesn't help that most of the new, themed enemies, thief/assassin class that has heavy focus on poison damage and melee. I mean, but isn't that Stabbo? Stabbo's kind of a fucking asshole. Okay, that's the problem I think with some of the characters is I feel like they kind of burned a lot of roads. You know what I mean? Like the Stabbomancer is like very obviously the thief or the assassin. You know, he can go invisible. He literally summons a blade, you know. Also, they're kind of like, fuck it. He does a bunch of elemental shit. And you're like, I mean, I guess that's kind of like a unique version of poison. So it's not just poison, but it's like, hey, it's all these other elements. But it's still kind of like, you could have had an assassin class, fully formed, fully developed. You could have also had like an elemental class, fully formed, fully developed. But instead they're like, fuck it. Let's put it together. Which may, again, granted, there's so many classes within D&D, so maybe they're like, let's not make this game unending, you know? So maybe they're like, let's merge them. Let's give some people some bouncing around type stuff. Also, I forgot we need to switch characters. Or delete this one. I did drop the pistol, right? I'm gonna trust myself. We dropped the pistol. I hope we did. Oh my god, if we didn't drop the pistol, I'm gonna fucking cry. Oh my god, imagine if we didn't drop the barrier pistol and then we dropped the other one because we're holding two. Golly. I would wreck my whole damn day. Oh, there's that pistol. Fluff says this, the 7th class is indeed a bard. They better inject a lot of better music. Oh, I say if the class is 7th is bard, they better inject a lot of music. That could also be the case. Yes. I wonder if, man, how would they do the bard? Because you need to have 2 class mods. The only thing that I could think of is like you literally pull up like a guitar like Torg, and given the points that you go down, you'll strum. But that's something because I don't know, because are you gonna buff things at random? Like, is that what you do? You just like pull up a guitar, go pring, and then you get like a shit ton of buffs to your whole allies? That seems kind of like disenchanting. That doesn't seem very cool. To me, it'd be really cool, especially knowing the weird cadence of Torg. If they took the idea of like a roaming super, there's no roaming super in the game really. Besides Reaper of Bones, I think there's like literally none. But the idea that if you pull up a harp or a lute, and each time you strum, you could like launch, like, because I think Torg is like a fucking pixie or something, right? He's a pixie, so he summons like these little tiny orbs that can like annihilate things. But it'd also be cool if you could go down a specific path within the skill tree of the bard, and you'd go into like a roaming super, and every single time you'd like hit fire, your character would start drumming and like summoning forth blades, like throwing them at enemies and hands and or some sort of flower tether hitting people. Anything. That'd be sick to me. Because the bard, in other ways, bard just seems like a buffer, you know what I mean? Or like a creature summoner kind of thing. Less of that, and more of like maybe like when you're playing, it makes like a bunch of enemies randomly fight against their allies, maybe. Sure, but enemies don't really hit that hard anyway. At least not when you're fighting bosses. You need to be doing like 10k health, and we have less than that, or about that right now. So if that was the case, enemies would just drop us immediately, but they're not. So unless they got also like times 1,000 damage on top of whomever is working for you, then maybe. But yeah. I don't know how that would look in terms of a class. I think that'd be actually quite challenging to do. They'll have to merge it with something, I think. That'd be funny though. Like, what are the odds of a bard mixed with like a melee like berserker? that'd be crazy, but maybe. Cap says, can you get the guns with wings as a spell as a pixies or also spells? Cap, I think it works a little weird. So there's a spreadsheet if you just type in to Google Wonderlands. Oh god, what is it called? Wonderlands Fear Not scaling, I think is what it would probably come up. But basically, they would show you that some guns with wings, some Fear Nots, can be counted as companion damage, can be counted as gun damage, can be counted as spell damage, but there's varied. So you need to get the right prefix that scales in that way. It's quite complicated, but yeah. Oh yeah. But if that's what you're asking, yeah. The type of gun, yeah. Fear Nots are like throwable weapons, so they will always be the only thing that has like a reload effect. No other gun in the game, I believe, has a reload effect besides Fear Nots. TDRs are junk guns, so that you can throw them away instead of reloading. So yeah, and they did destruct or magic back in your hands. Red said the model and textures are not mine; they are from a DeviantArt user. I simply ported it to Elden Ring and tweaked something. Still, man, it looks great regardless of the collaboration. That looks incredible on both your parts. Well done. Fluff says spell companions are Hydras and Talon. Really, Fluff? I was always wondering that. Does Talon, the spell and like throwable weapon, maybe count as a companion? So does it scale off of companion damage, or is it one of those things where some count as that, some don't? Cap says the defo a pixie spell though. Oh, there's definitely a pixie spell. Yeah, there's a pixie spell. There's also Hydra spell. Yeah, pixie spells, I found them rare, man. I don't know why I haven't found many of them, but yeah, they're out there. But also it's weird because it's like, to me, again, it's a weird balancing thing. Like if I have to cast a spell and it's on cooldown for quite a long time, this is a bad spell because it has low cooldown. But if it's on cooldown for like 20 seconds and I can only cast one pixie and it goes away in 7 seconds, then I should summon like 5 pixies at once and not just do this. Like, I have no loss, and now I have 3 pixies, and I've lost nothing. I have no cooldowns. Like, what has happened? Why can I not cast a spell and even summon like a Juggernaut? Like, they just melt way harder than the pixies. They're basically free. It's just weird. Like, the spell, like, I feel like people were scaling things on different planes. Like, the Fear Not guy, I'm in love with the guy who made the Fear Not pistols. Not because, like, I'm fine if they get descaled. I just love the idea of things having multiple scaling units so that you can build for 2 things and then the outcome is usually pretty good damage. Whereas if one thing is scaling off gun damage and you happen to play melee, you are fucked. You're not going to be able to do any range damage. Unless you have a specific weird answer to it, like throwing a hammer, etc. That's something, but yes. Melee knockback, no. I think we got 2 choices. Dark magic. Oh, such a little amount of rolls. Meh. Also, ladies and gentlemen, the chat is not delayed, I just read where I don't want to leave anyone's comment behind. I already had to do some like cutting off some comments, which I regret, but it is what it is. Sometimes y'all be quiet, and other times you'll be talking, and I love it regardless. I do prefer the talking, honestly. Otherwise, I'm just sitting here like an asshole. So yeah. Red says, I've also been spending the last few days getting the tail and Hara physics working, which I plan on incorporating into the bodies and tail. Yeah, Red. It seems like I'm blown away. Like, you must be really getting into this. Are you planning on? Is it just a fun hobby, Red? Because to me, like, you're going down a path. Maybe you want to like nix some of the mods you're making on terms of like what is it called, like a job application. But I've heard about that in spades, like listening to podcasts with game developers and such. People say, like, as much as a person who has like graduated from like 3D modeling school is very good, seeing someone who can create something like put it into the real world, adjust it, make it better, is something that people value way more. It's like almost like saying, what's your experience level? And they're like, I just got out of high school. And they're like, well, or not high school, I just got out of college for this. And they're like, okay. Whereas if you're like, no, I've made this many mods, this many people showed that they enjoyed the mods I made. Some of them, be warned, had a proclivity to them, boom. But I feel like as a person who's like, no, that means I can immediately put you on doing this and you're going to be able to hit the ground running. I won't have to sit there and be like, okay, well, do you know how to use this program? No? Okay, well, shit. Like, especially, I feel like that would just be so nice from a boss's perspective of like, you just figured this out by yourself? Awesome. Here's the program you use. Figure this out by yourself. Let's see how far you can get with just that. Like, that would have this confidence to like, oh, no, you can forge your own way. Now, granted, I don't know if you want to do that, Red. I've just noticed that that's like, that's a really good option essentially for people who do want to get into game design, 3D modeling or such. Is you do just the thing mod creation. Basically, you do mod creation and you find value and you create value and you start like diving into all of the problems that you need to solve when bring your concept to life. Lone Sinkin says Buffmeister is like a lazy man's answer to how to make the lackluster builds do damage. Yeah, man, I know. And it's not that like I always hate doing this because I mentioned like in a couple of my videos, the video coming out today, I mentioned that like a skill, the only way people are able to do this weird kind of damage is by like quintupling dipping into a spell or into a skill. Or like doing some sort of weird other thing. And it's like, it's not a judgment call on my part. It's me being frustrated with that's the weird place that we're in. You can't just like use the baseline balancing of the game and the numbers going up as kind of a metric for what you ought to be doing in terms of damage. You have to weirdly scale super hard in things that aren't otherwise expressly saying, hey, by the way, this feeds into itself 3 fucking times. Which you're like, what? And it's also fun that skills do that, just generally, so that you can kind of have a leg up. Well, if you're able to read between the lines or notice something. But to me, it's like Lone Sinkin said. It's like, to me, it seems like a bad answer or lazy answer. An answer that basically makes all other potential answers kind of null and void. But also limits your player experience because you're not able to mess with guns unless you're going ambidextrous. And even then, you're still on cooldown for some of that period. So the gameplay idea of like you eventually having this lull has always been quite unfun for I think a lot of people. Fluff says my ideal concept for Bard would have been something that specializes in AoE buffing and I can't say it. Pyrokinesis, is that right? So fire splash damage. That sounds awesome, Fluff. And honestly, that actually has a lot of merit because there's that weird class mod that's in the game that like seems like it has no place. It's one that like mass applying fire on enemies makes you do exponential more fire damage, which just seems very like, okay, you know, like there's no character that does fire damage, you know, and yeah, it seems very odd, you know, but what do you call it? That could make a lot of sense. Honestly, that would make use of that one special thing. So I'm game for that too. That one sounds fun, especially with the splash damage. There's not too much of that in the game. To me, maybe they want to save something like the roaming super kind of idea, but it just seems to me like I keep saying it, but it seems like such a waste to have so many like beautiful, gorgeous melee weapons in this game. They look 10 times better than any weapon ever. Like it's not even close. And yet we can only see them for a 0.0 split second as we quickly slash. It's like, what? I'm so sorry to the passionate designer who made all of these badass melee weapons that are just kind of like, what the fuck, dude? Why did we make them super high res? Why did I have to come up with so many different versions of them? What is that? Why is there so much the amount of variability within the melee weapons rivals some of the Fear Knots. Like, Fear Knots are always the, like, black parts just kind of chunked together, and that's it. Done. But the melee weapons have crazy variability. There's hilt, there's, like, sheen, there's, like, a hilt. There's, like, the hand looks all crazy. There's big ones, small ones, blunt ones. There's a fucking frying pan. Like, it's just, yeah. Like, a lot of the legendaries are kind of just like, yeah. It's like what you think a Fear Knot would look like, you know? It's what you think of like a sword explosion where look like a Torg weapon kind of, you know? It's like, what the fuck is happening? Not melee damage cryo would be lovely. You only get 2 options every time. Oh. Cap says, I got a pixie spell. Yeah, man, pixie spell is a rare as hell, but I wish they did more damage though. Guns with wings are Fear Not exclusives because it wouldn't need a gun on a base on. Okay, based on. Oh, just. Lone Sinkin says, the Bard could have something like Claptrap's action skill for pre-sequel, and when activating it, something random happens. At least I think that would work if memory serves me right. You know, Claptrap.exe, I think is what it's called. Also, I didn't mean to do that. Claptrap.exe. The only thing that I would be shocked if they did that is I think if you were to poll the entirety of the community, that is by far the most hated class in the entire Borderlands community. Claptrap's like, because it's just variability. Like, it's too much variability. Or like, if you could just make him do the cannon alt, that'd be sick. But instead, you could like use your alt and then it'd be a way, like, you would invest in a skill tree that basically made one version of the activation really good. But it wasn't also like better than other characters. You know what I mean? It'd be one thing if Claptrap like would turn into a death nuke and just eviscerated everything. But like, especially in pre-sequel, there was a girl who like could auto lock that just melted everything, and you're like, balancing here, my guy, just seems like crazy pills. So yeah, but yes, I to me, I think that would make some sense. I just, like, to me, there would have to be the capstone that would make it make sense, you know, that would make it harmonize. Otherwise, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, if the capstone was like, hey, you can hold down the action skill button and choose which kind of riff you want to play on your lute, or something, you know. But if they didn't do that, then I think people would just be like, what the fuck am I doing? What am I, like, oh, let me see if I die, or let me see if I can buff my friends or something like that. Or it would have to be where the variability would be so worth it, to where, like, hey, if you happen to get the strum the flute and get some good damage, or sorry, like a massive damage thing, awesome. It's better than most of the damage skills just by itself. But I don't know if they'd do that. But I think it'd be a cool idea. Granted, I'd be worried about that, about like the feeling of like, hope my alt works, and if it doesn't, then no one's gonna build for your alt, which is what people did with Claptrap. They kind of just said, well, fuck it, we're not building for alt damage because it can't happen. Also, I keep rerolling the wrong thing. Gun damage? No. Although that's a decent mod just to have on your things. Melee damage. It's always one or the other. Get out of here. And again. Into the fray. Oh. And this. Ba, 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 ba. Claptrap was very poorly received. Yeah, I've got ahead of him. Very poorly received as far as the class would go, especially due to the random nature of his actions go. Yeah, Fluff says, I don't think the talent counts as a companion. I was just referring to the spells that the creature has the effect of project. Okay, gotcha. Fluff says, but yes, Hydra spells are rare on their own, and pixies are rare variations of Hydras. Yes, okay, makes sense. Cap says, another question, Log, good, let him with it. Guns with wings are only on pistols, SMGs, and shotguns, right? Yes. I don't think there's a sniper guns with wings. I don't think there's a bazooka guns with wings. Is that the only one that's left? Let me see. Pistols, SMGs, shotguns. Yeah, that sounds right. Pistols, yeah. Yeah, only them. Which is weird. I feel like eventually they're going to open up the playground to the other things. Maybe, hopefully. It would be weird if they were segregated for no reason. Red says, it's just something I find I am enjoying, but I have been offered money to commission some mods for people. Really? Well, I guess, I don't know. It depends on what you want, but it depends on how attainable it is. Because ideally, if you start to have a passion for something and you start to develop a skill for it, it becomes easier to achieve the things that people ask you to do, where in other words it would warrant you actually doing them, you know, when you have built-in models that you can just overlay various things from, you know. But no, that's awesome, Red. I love to hear that. Flo says, fear not's only a pistol type you could get. Fluff says, this has been true since Borderlands 3. Borderlands 2 TPS has TD or rocket launchers, but those have since been dropped as a type. Okay. Yeah. I thought Borderlands 3 had the weird, like, you like click the thing and you just chuck a giant like noob tube over your shoulder. Oh my god, my neck. After casting a spell, melee damage, bleh. All damage dealt may be a consolation prize we have to no. People will be like, what the hell? Is this the best prefix? And I'll be like, no, it's just what, you know, enchantment, hellscape, all that. Why is it not? There we Also, does anybody know when Saints Row the reboot is coming out? Because I feel like we're still like a month out. Is it more? Oh, also, ladies, I want to, hey, my Genshin people in the chat, my ex-Genshin players potentially. I just seen some leak stuff, man. That I was like, when I seen the Animo dude, I was like, weird, exposed armpits. Sure, I get like the workout kind of like long armpit, whatever it's called, like for breathability, sure. Anyways, but I thought the character looks kind of okay, looks fine, you know. But he's the first brawler character. People keep saying melee, weirds me out. He's the first brawler character that's coming to Wonderlands. Fists, basically, fists. So he's an Animo user that's doing like these kind of martial art, you know, whatever. But I'm still hyped. To me, I'm like, oh shit, is this the character I spend my thing on rather than Kazuha? Is this how they get me? Probably, because I have too many DPSs to begin with, but he looks real cool to me. Yeah, he's like an Animo user who, like, you can just keep hitting melee and he'll keep punching things and like doing sweeping attacks. But he's also a Catalyst user, which is interesting. So he's a Catalyst user that's using melee as a kind of a scaling thing, which looks dope. August 23rd. What day is it? Damn it, this. What day is it? What day is it, damn you? Stop it. What day is it? It is May. You said August. Oh, it's so many fucking things away. Oh, that's not good. That's not good. Like 4 months away. Pain. God damn it. Well, hopefully we'll have things in the downtime that keeps us entertained, you know? But it's very far away. Oh, but apparently, what do you call it? Saints Row, the reboot, is going to come out with co-op, but they're thinking about, I think in a post-launch, they're thinking about making like a GTA open world online type thing, which I think would be nice, because I was always curious to see what they would do with that idea. All damage dealt. Made a damage knockback. It's always the same ones, which is just fucking, yeah, makes me feel like I'm stuck in a loop. Most of the melee weapons are producer parts, like most guns have, yet some have the best. Legendary ones are static appearance. Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, that makes sense too. Where they're like, yeah, it's a static look to them, so they don't have actually variability within the design. But also, yeah, I don't know. It's yeah, I still find they look way better than the legendary guns. You know, what guns you think that they would look as cool, especially when there's not skins in the game anymore. Lone Snicket says, oh yes, the new Animo Catalyst user who attacks using his fists, who weirdly rises the party's EM. Weird. He does that? Raising EM seems to be a common Animo benefit, so it's not that odd. I mean, it's odd when there's so many people that fucking do it, and you're kind of like, another one? But also they don't work together, so there's like a cap on it. Like Sucrose, Kazuha, and I think one other person who benefits can like stack on top of each other, so it's like, what? What's happening? So I see Lone Syndicate's point of like, what the fuck? If they stacked it, it'd be like, yeah, pile it on. But instead, they're like, no, you have two. You can have two and then shut up. But I don't know, man. To me, Animo was always one of those ones that's worrisome, you know? Like, are you going to have enough damage? Also, is there like a good enough artifact set that's out there for him right now? I mean, there's that new Animo, there's that new alt one where it's like the lower health you have, the more damage you deal, which seems like kind of contradictive because you only get one shot in Spiral Abyss, so it's like, what? It's only really good for Shao, who can kind of stay out of the lane for a while, or stay out of the fire line for a while. Cap says, yeah, I got a Pixie in my shotgun. That really fun to see 12 shotgun, 12 bullets just spread into someone. You miss. Pretty crazy. Also, especially when you have 3 going and they're just like hunting into people. Yeah. Man, if you have Stabo with that combo, and each one of those pellets is doing gun damage, which has a chance of triggering like basically like a melee sword that can have elemental damage on it. It's pretty damn nice. Gun damage and this melee damage. Oh. Technically speaking, melee can usually refer to hand-to-hand combat. I know, but like to me, I would also consider a sword to be melee weapon, like a melee thing. So when people say melee, I'm like, we're already doing melee. It's just like it's like a gun, you know, or like shooting. It's like sure, but like, is it a sniper? Is it like a bazooka? I guess firing maybe is what you would consider a bazooka. It seems like a weird comment. Yeah, weird. Filter, I guess, to put it on when I would consider it to be quite confusing. Like, we're already doing melee damage. What? Could just be me though. Most of the guns are returning models from Borderlands 3, apart from the magic barrel, instead of the alien barrel we had in the game. Yes, which so many people love the magic barrel. Which is, the magic barrel is just friggin' annoying, man. It's got like the coolest idea. It looks like you're basically firing like a Gatling gun shotgun with 3 bullets, but instead it's like, but what if we fire a thread? You're like, what? What? Oh, God. So excited. It was so close. It was so close. Oh, it was so close again. Poison damage. I mean, we're not doing poison damage. Come on. We're scared when we hit cryo or hit a bullet, it can explode within barrage or something. And that scale will scale off of the incredible damage that is being dealt by fucking the cryo or pixies, and that's going to detonate with an AoE. 30% of that damage is going to be considered to be poison. Now, probably still not worth betting. You probably want the higher scaling for the base cryo than jump off, but maybe, hey, we could try that actually. We could try having cryo or like poison actions. Well, I don't think, do they stack? I don't know, we'll have to test that. Yeah, we could try that. Have a cryo here, or sorry, poison here and cryo. See if they stack. I thought that was an. Oh, we could put the other one on too. Whatever it's called. Well, companion damage is also one that's pretty good. Is it 50% bonus damage? Good, probably because we're only taking 30%. Companion damage would probably be better. Yeah. Or is it the 40% spell damage? That way we can just benefit from also having our spells kick ass. That might be the play. Barrel, cryo, spell damage amp. I'm gonna keep this one just to see. Granted, I don't have that much space in my vault, so this is a stupid thing to keep putting them away. Is this the one? No. The one we have equipped. Perfect. That. We'll try it eventually. By the way, we're just making a predecessor to our, what the fuck did I call it? I don't know. Some sort of like pixie spore warden situation. I'm sorry. Names, even ones I come up with, aren't very good with me. You know, I have, that's why they're so, you know, obvious. Like blood, meat god or whatever, you know, or blood torrent or something, you know. Ugh. Stop it. Also, our boy Nut popping in saying fashionably late. You fucking bedazzlingly late. you are an hour and some change late, buddy. But how you been? Also, man, everyone around me is dropping like flies with sickness. I'm not sure if it's. I don't know. I wouldn't really consider summer to be the time where people get rickety wrecked. What is good, Nanny? How are you, buddy? Nanny, how do you feel about that Animo boy in the Genshin Impact, my guy? Excited? Not so excited? Gonna go wish or not? I mean, he is a dude, so I understand. A little bit less of a, you know, woo, but still. I can still start stuff. This. So we get two chances. Go. There we go. Also, how do you guys feel about the Let It Die? Let It Die or Death Verse? I keep saying Let It Die too, or like Let It Die Death Verse. It's Death Verse Let It Die. How do you guys feel about it? What do you guys? I got a lot of people. People are always positive because it's just no one talks about that game, but it's very much a beloved like niche game. I'm curious what you guys think about it. I'm pretty into it, but yeah. But also I want to play it because I feel like it might be one of those ones where like it's fun, But if we only ever have like 2 zones, and that's the only thing that there's to do, if they had that coupled with like some sort of PvE, like building gear or something, or like building or like upgrading weapons, and maybe, but I feel like there has to be some sort of thing for you to do. If it's only ever multiplayer for multiplayer's sake, I think you need to have a really flushed out multiplayer, kind of like Apex Legends, where you can have like, you have a bunch of variability. It's like a team-based thing. There's like mastery of characters. So I think if they're gonna do like something that seems like the multiplayer is cool and Let It Die, but not quite varied, then they need to have some sort of investment give, where you're like constantly upgrading your katana, sword, weird machete thing, or cleaver, etc. Also, Red says, I saw some leaked gameplay of Yelane. She looks fun and supposedly better version of Shinshu. I don't know if she's better than Shinshu. I think she might be. Well, I don't know. I think it depends on what kind of Shinshu you have. I think most characters, most 5 stars, if you have a C6 Shinshu, are not better than Shinshu. But if you have a base Shinshu, then yeah, I would agree with that. But I'd be surprised. Because to me, I think that's what they were saying about not Shinsho, but Ayaka's brother, him. Yeah, he's a better version of Shinshu, which I think that one actually holds them more weight because he just has so much AOE. You know what I mean? Where Shinshu does a lot of single targets, so I feel like they're kind of playing different games, but probably in some ways this kind of equal out. Again. Why the fucking melee one? Also, I guess I invested in the wrong fire again. You son of a bitch. What am I doing? We're doing this. Nub says, also, I think my doggo is getting annoyed. His coat wasn't cleaned up. What does that mean? What do you mean? Like you pluck off like the weird, like dead, fluffy fur off of him? Huh. Losing says, but I am interested in what they do with this new character. If he ends up being pure support, I'm gonna be disappointed because like we have we have so many. Yeah, it'd be really cool to see another like mainline DPS but also. With that being said, though, Lone Stick, a lot of times they kind of skirt the edge. Like Kazuha can absolutely be like a main DPS because he's so supportive, you know. But he might be the outlier. But also Venti's kind of like that too. I hope regardless, I hope he's a 5-star so that there's like hopefully higher probability for him to have be standing alone, you know, or have standalone power, I guess. I also think it's fucking we're gonna see him forever from now. He's gonna be so far away, I think. Fluff says, I think the idea is that he's the first melee catalyst user, which is definitely new. Yeah, it's true. That probably will be enough staying power to where maybe that's the sell, you know? Fire damage. I think I keep re-rolling the wrong one. Melee damage. Yeah, I can't re-roll the one gun again. I mean, elemental damage is something. I think I got that on my melee, though. We need the big poob with a cryo hit. We need that one. That one's huge. Okay. Cryo, 50% cryo damage? What are we doing? You know? I worry that I got that on my. I guess. Man. Did they fix the UI? No. Like, can I look through my things? I know we. Well, what's the one again? Swift. It's Swift. Okay. So we can start by type, manufacturer. We gotta find Swift. Okay. I think these are them. It got ketchup. Cap says pixies can get daggers in the bullets. What do you mean? Oh, you mean like? What do you mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Nub says, wait. What is melee in reference to melee? There's a new a melee character in Genshin who is not he's a brawler, punching basically. So he has a catalyst user that instead just uses like animo catalyst thing as a base to punch the shit out of people. Then he says, TBH, I haven't been playing Genshin for quite a while. You and me both, man. I'm on week 2 of it. I haven't even done my fucking boss rotations. But I'm also sitting on like 1 billion boss resources. So yeah. I mean, my Ido is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, my back. That's why I know my back hurts right now. Love says spring summer can be a time where allergies kick into overdrive for people and stuff like hay fever. Yeah, it's more like general sickness though. I keep seeing people like whose throats are wrecked, have like a bad cough, that kind of thing, which is a little out of the norm for me. I don't typically see that. Yeah. Also, wait. Oh, it's chaotic. God, it doesn't matter to not have what this is. What we're kind of looking for, or one of the versions that we can look. Yeah, no, we still need cryo. Either cryo or spell would be nice, but what, do we have any more money to wish on our wand? Yes, we actually have quite a lot. Spell shot. On star action skills. Wait, what? On action skill start, gain a stack of spell weaving. Oh, okay. I thought it gave you an additional stack. I was like, what? Also, I think I rerolled not the one I wanted to do. The UI so shit, I rerolled my fucking thing. Gain melee damage, no. Can you get cryo? Badass enemies. Companion damage may not be the worst. I mean, the only reason why I feel like I would rather go with spell damage and also have my spells hitting hard. We're only taking a 10% damage loss at that, you know? You know, makes sense. And we're done. We're off. Fluff says, spring, summer can often be a time where allergies kick in. It goes for most of us now. Yeah, so I probably won't be wishing. Yeah, no, not wishing. But have you seen the character? Do you think he looks neat? I think he looks, well, actually, again, it's one of those moments where, like, can he look a little bit more beefy? Can he be, like, he's a brawler? I would guess that in this instance, it kind of makes sense because he's, like, you know, he's like a, yeah, he's like a wind guy. So he's like, I don't have to punch as hard because I have magic or something. And I'm like, okay, kind of a cop-out, but sure. Granted, Ido has no excuse. No, it has an excuse. All right, Ido's fucking Oni. Onis have built-in strength, okay? Fluff says, Deathverse looks good for what I've expected, I expected of it, but a nice multiplayer competitive game aren't often expected to last long. See Battleborn, Bleeding Edge, etc. Well, Bleeding Edge was a weird one, man, because Bleeding Edge, I don't know. Bleeding Edge was not bad, but it felt like they didn't, like, continue to, like, add things that the community could dig into. Like, eventually you just fight the same enemies again, and it would be, again, that's the thing with, like, hero shooters that to me is always the kind of the frustrating part, is it's all about, like, it's too heavy into communication and, like, team comp and, like, pushing, to where if you don't have those utilities, like, I think that, like, for hero shooters there needs to be a special kind of matchmaking that just accounts for either complete randomness or complete skill variability, because yeah, it just always felt like in Bleeding Edge you would just get dominated by a team that was clearly communicating, you know? That feels like how a lot of these competitive hero shooter kind of games feel like, you know? But seeing Let It Die is also fairly niche. It'll probably have a solid core audience. Yeah, I think that'll probably be what it would be, especially knowing that, like, the skeleton crew that made Let It Die broke off and made Deathverse as their new company, Super Trick Games, which is fun. But yeah, apparently there's supposed to be a big announcement soon here. I don't know when it's going to be, though. Maybe it's already out and I just haven't checked yet, but yeah. I would assume they keep hinting that it's close to done, so I would assume it's like a release date, even though I think we've already technically had a release date, but you know what? I don't know. That's not good coffee. It's not good coffee. Lone Syndicate says, I have been playing Genshin, but I'm skipping days as well. Yes. I was doing the same thing, Lone Syndicate, but then I was just like, you know what? What happens if we just stop playing for a day? You know, how bad does it feel? It feels pretty bad. But then it feels kind of like, you know what? Also, hell yeah, that's what we wanted. Now it kind of feels like, hey, eat me. You know, you don't deserve me. Okay. Now, of course, I'm kidding. I very much enjoy the game still. To me, there's not really, again, at this point, I'm like, hey, I'm in a place where I can actually be like, hey, I'll come back if you do what I want. And maybe it'll never happen. You know, maybe it's a selfish thing to say, but it's true. All right. But I'll come back when you put some fucking endgame content in your game. All right. I don't know if I want to come back for updates, which is sad because we played that game for like a year and a half. But it's true. It's just like, I'm like, God damn you. Yeah. Whereas before, I'm like, I'm kind of addicted. So I'll play to play. But now I'm kind of like, you know what? I've broken my addiction. The only way I'm coming back is if you actually make a game that I think it could go beyond just being a kind of a gotcha fucking hellfest. You know? Yeah. Alone Secret says, Elaine looks like she's going to pair well with Shinsho, not fill his space. And no, Grin, the new animal character is a 4-star as the leak said. Really? Oh, they suck. Anyways, that's just brutal. Ah, that's so shit. And if anyone's like, Grin, why? And I'm like, well, think about it, man. Is Sarah like a main DPS type? No, she's hella good. She's additive. Is any of, let me do that. Is any of the previous 4-star characters that came out good and in any way better than like, yeah, we haven't had a 4-star character that is like a Shinsho, that is like a Shangling. These characters that are like, holy fuck, like they actually feel like they're better than some 5-stars. We haven't had one of those, I think, in a while. Granted, if you have constellations, maybe, but that's hella specific, you know. And by the time that it would take you to get a full constellation of that, you'd have a couple tries at a 5-star. So yeah. But I don't know, man. To me, I think it makes me worry. Because the reason why I'm worried is because it's limited. Because in the past they have limited 4-stars based on a pretty hard cap, you know. Fluff says, "Oh, Grin, did you see the trailer I linked?" Yeah, I forgot. I was going to talk to you about it. Is that the reason I was? You didn't add any context to it, but I had to remember to our past stream. You were saying that guy looks like the guy from the world's deadliest assassin, reincarnated as an aristocrat in another world. By the way, that name is so long I can't even fit it like a full title on YouTube. It's fucked. Yeah, no, he looks exactly like the one person, man. It's weird that this is kind of like, well, that's a lot of stuff within Japanese culture where like a lot of military designed people look very little, yeah, a little rough. A certain kind of military garb is worn. Because, yeah, there's reasons for it, but it's, yeah. Anyways. But I find, I find that's weird that it seems like there's so many, like, baseline mental tropes of, like, I guess it makes sense. Like, it's like deadly assassin. You'd think old, withered, and like you resourceful and clever, you know? But you wouldn't think of, like, a young kid like, hey, I'm the world's deadliest assassin. You know, no. You would be like, no, I want him to be old and to have a lot of experience and to know how to do all the kind of things. What? That sounded like it could mean a lot of things. A lot of them not good. Anyways. Gun damage. Dark magic damage. Fire damage. Give me cryo. Put me out of my misery. Also, did this one roll? No, it didn't. Put me out of my misery. Give me cryo. We have no more chances. Feels bad. Grin says, oh no, Nanny says, Grin, do you have any tips on how to get gold? Send me a friend request and I'll give you 1 million. That's my suggestion. That's my friend request. Name, I'll give you 7 billion. Okay? That's there's not really a good way. It's not like you go into the chaos chambers and like hit a bunny. What you could do is do chaos chamber runs without any having backpack space, and then just load up on guns and sell them. But that's kind of a whole thing. We are okay. I'll invite you to my world then, and we'll go about it like this. Oh right, Mamily, right? Mamily. That's a weird, such a strange name. Social, Mamily family. You're a weirdo. Danny. Also, a Cap says, you mentioned to pixies, and stabos do something with pixies. Pixies will scale off of spell damage depending on the barrel type. The crossbows scale off of spell damage, but the stabos varies past that buff either by a lot. Oh, okay. Yeah, Cap. So in the Stabomancer's skill tree, there's something called plus guy Executioner's Blade, which basically is a 20% chance that whenever you do a critical hit for spells or guns, which your pixies count as both. No, they count as spells. Sorry, they count as spells. So, but your shotgun will count as gun. So the fact that you're hitting multiple projectiles at once will constantly detonate that 20% chance. And what happens when you hit a 20% chance is that an ethereal purple blade will hit into an enemy dealing melee damage. So you do need to have some melee damage built into your kit, but it's still kind of a fun way to do, especially considering you can have another perk that when you do melee damage, you apply a random element, and given you have enough melee damage, you'll actually hit pretty hard. But yes, we'll just do all that, and then we'll hit trade. Trade. Fluff says, "Oh, the different. That's a different video I linked, but yeah, that. Oh yeah. No, it's okay. Which one was it? What was the previous one then?" Lone Secret says, "I would say Elaine was a good attempt at competing for one of those top 4 spots." Yeah. I do like the direction they're going in. I always like, me and Fluff talked about this way back in the day when we were so excited for Garo because he was like the first Geo archer, and I feel like you could do something really cool with that. And they could still say he's the first 5-star Geo archer, but they haven't done that yet. And to me, I don't know, because maybe the Genshin's still off the charts. Maybe I do find it strange that they stopped, like they basically put themselves on hiatus with Ayaka, which Ayaka is a very fun character and people like her, but I don't know if she is a character where people would be happy to kind of like chill with. Like apparently one of the leaks is showing that they're like a Chi-Chi is going to be in a banner, and I'm like, is that come with a rework or like an artifact set, or like I get Chi-Chi's actually okay now that she has like the seafoam one, but still, it's kind of like you gotta win people back over with like Chi-Chi being meta or something, or sort of like decent, But to me, the fact that they're like, this is the first male catalyst user, and they're kind of like just seemingly throwing that away, because I don't know if it would have as much like, ooh, if it was like the first Animo catalyst user that's male, that's a 5-star. To me, if they were like, hey, and now he's a 5-star after this one comes out, I don't know if that would be enough to be like, ooh, they'd be like, oh, we already have one of those, and if he didn't really perform, then yeah. But actually, that actually checks out to some extent. So we might actually get all that, because we have 2 characters plus Chi-Chi, and in order to sell Chi-Chi's banner, they're going to need to put that the first catalyst user that is Animo in his banner in order for it to be incentivized enough for people to wish on it, because otherwise they're going to get Chi-Chi. I want him less now, because knowing that it's like, hey, you could either get him or Chi-Chi is pretty shit. It's a pretty shit sandwich, but yeah. It looks fun, but not fun enough to where I'm like, holy shit, put me back in, Cap. Fuck me up. Plus says, there's a new game announced from Hollowverse called Zinless Zoo Zero, or ZZZ, which looks more akin to Honkai, but it's more of a future-themed... Yeah, I've seen it, man. It looks dope. There's a guy with like a helmet on there that has like the whole words on the face thing, but he looks pretty cool. Like the design characters are sick. But I don't know. I have to wait and see what that game is even. It looks neat. Like to me, that's an era that I think people would... yeah, like to me, man, that's one of those things that always kind of maybe it's really complicated, probably, but like think of Bleeding Edge, like that style of like post-apocalyptic industrial, but like punk rock / ghetto kind of like weird futuristic parkour city kind of thing. To me, it surprises me that like no person has been like, hey, what if we actually took this really cool idea of an art style and made it a whole world? Maybe like an open world, or like a city, maybe. Not an open world, that's too much, but like big-ass city full of constant parkour or something. Kind of like, reminds me of Brink. But hopefully not just like Brink. Because, yeah. But yeah, to me, like, there's so many things where I feel like there's so much value to be captured within those games. Granted, maybe not. Maybe people are like, yeah, that's not tried and tested. We're not going to spend a AAA game with an open world kind of vibe on something like that. That's not going to guarantee us our investment back. But I think that's how you get an investment back. You try something that has a high probability of being something different, but also familiar enough, you know? But who knows? Yeah, I got you, guys. Don't worry about it. Fluff says, I mean, we haven't had a Chi-Chi or Mona banner yet, so that'll be okay as Phil. Yeah, and I understand. But to me, it does make me want to wish on the banner, you know? Especially with a person who already has a lot of characters, you know? Maybe for some people who are like, no, I would be fine with either, then would be pretty good, maybe. But for me, I'm kind of like, well, it's not worth, like, to me, I'm looking at it as like, it's not worth me, like, burning, getting a 4-star and potentially getting a lot of Chi-Chis, you know? But also, I'm not in a place of, like, need. So I understand people are like, well, I'm into it. I'll be fine with that. Awesome. That's good. I'm happy. That works out. But for me, not so much. But absolutely wish on that banner, you know, if you want. Well, I see it being a safer experiment, and as a character, more people can get a chance at. Yeah, to me, if it's not Chi-Chi, if it was Mona instead, that would make sense. If it was Mona, because Mona's like people are still. And also, she's a pretty damn good character. Also, ever since the Recharge set, she's been kind of up there. I just also think that they suffer. Any of the characters that's been in the game since launch have suffered from people just seeing them ad nauseum. So yeah. Oh, my nose is starting to get all fucked up and sinusy. Red says, Chi-Chi gets a banner and not Mona. Bleh. Though, Chi-Chi is adorable, and I used her a lot early on for my heals. Yeah, man, to me, like, and maybe, again, Seafoam probably helps her out a lot, but there still feels like there's, like, this blatant downtime with her. So to me, if they did do a Chi-Chi rerun, and they rescaled her, then that would be lovely, But yeah, because like I think Chi-Chi is one of the cooler design characters in the game. She's like a zombie a zombie weirdo who talks really slow and is spacey. But yeah, like there's not a lot of characters like her in the game. But that doesn't change the fact that to me it's like I feel like if I'm using her, I'm at a huge loss, you know, and that the game needs value essentially, you know, especially with Spiral Abyss, seemingly the content that the game scaled for. We finally got it, boys. We finally got the frost damage. Okay. Okay. Oh. Jeez Louise. Frost damage on skill activation. I think we have... Where is it? Swift? Where is it? Swift. There it is. Okay. Is it this? Well, we gotta let it catch up. Again, we have so much stuff in our vaults that the game will like, kill me! So much to load. Love says, I'll keep an eye on the game and possibly try it, even if it's a mobile exclusive. Oh yeah, that one, yeah. You know, to me, I think, again, one of the things that's becoming harder to kind of like fight against is the fact that so many things are free now. Like for people who are like, this is not my let it die or my death or whatever. To me, I'm kind of like, I mean, dude, it's free. Just don't throw in the towel yet. Just wait and play it and see if it's your thing. And if it's not, then whatever. It's free. Like, yeah, like I'm sure there's some sort of monetary investment in it somewhere, you know. But yeah. Well, these are not swift melee weapons. God, I would love to have a HUD, like, or see an image. Okay, yeah, we got spell damage. Spell damage would be pretty huge. Spell damage, cryo damage, barrage. I think pretty good. We might actually be done. Okay. Now we have to collect everything. So pain. Do 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 do. Boom. And this. Ba 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 ba. Fluff says Mona will likely get one in the future, just like Kaching, acting as a filler banner, and supposedly Chi-Chi will be. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Also, again, it makes sense the fact that we're getting like a seemingly sought after characters. Yeah. Again, like I think the Catalyst dude will sell Chi-Chi's banner more than Chi-Chi. Not to say that Chi-Chi won't have fans, but I think people have more fanship for the one dude. Red says ZZZ looks pretty nice, but I'll hold my excitement. We barely saw anything except cool-looking anime characters doing flashy attacks, which seem like they're burst attacks in small locations. Yeah. Also, I don't think Honkai has. Well, maybe it has the ability to change and swap through characters. So maybe that's still a thing. Fluff said, in terms of recent games that I could compare it to, I'd say it reminds me of Scarlet Nexus, being the near future sort of thing, modern environments and techie gear. Yeah, man, to me that's a really cool aesthetic. But most games I don't think do, in my opinion, a really good job about like shining that through. You know, like I feel like again, like in Bleeding Edge, it was really cool and had like amazing design, but like we were kind of like it's weird that those games, like hero games, hero shooter, hero fighters, seem to always have so much style, but like open world games seem to be as bland as ever. Maybe it's because there's built-in assets and you don't have to be like creative all the time, you know? Like that reminds me of a game called the game Rage. Rage was a pretty, I think, stacked game in terms of its crazy, it's like crazy world. Like, you know, like even though it was kind of like a barren desert, I think that's how most games get away with a stylized thing. It's like, hey, most of the things are broken to shit. It's a broken world, it's terrifying, all that. I wish I could just nix all the. Maybe I can if I sort by power or score. Maybe it all sorts by. No, these are primordial. I think score would account for the primordial thing. Rarity, maybe. I'm just gonna drop the ones that aren't primordial because I need to make space. Hopefully none of these are too good. Although yeah, if you don't have a primordial thing, I don't think it'd be better than I currently have. Swift. Give me this one, I think. When it loads in. Oh. I agree. Never played Nexus, though. Yeah, Nexus looked fun, man. Nexus was one of those games where I was like, if only I could pause time and enjoy this. But instead I'm like, I think we were playing something at the time that I was like, I can't spread myself too thin. Fluff says, hence why I said it seems closer to Honkai. I figured I'd be the same sort of game with newer characters instead of just the waifu feast. I mean, with that being said, though, a lot of Genshin does have some, or maybe saying in regards to Honkai. So Honkai is quite a bit of a waifu feast. Gotcha. Yeah, man. To me, that was something that was funny about Genshin is that like people like cool looking characters. You know what I mean? Like I would say, like yes, waifu meta seems strong, but it meant that like not all of the other things were gone. And also I think that's why, you know, like Genshin appealed to a female audience as well. Not to say that females don't like enjoy cool looking female characters as well, but yeah. Especially seeing the guy with like the buff dude with the fucking helmet. You can see like that looks pretty rad, you know. Yeah. Speaking of Anthro, I plan on adding more Elden Ring beyond just dragonesses. Oh, I see. Oh, so anthropomorphic characters. You're planning on making a bunch of different ones? Gotcha. I was about to say, because you said furry things. You're making furry mods or something on Elden Ring, and I was like, I'm about to see some sort of weird mascot type helmet. But instead I seen a bunch of lizards, and I was like, I'm not an expert, alright? I know nothing. But I thought those were called scalies. That's what it was. So I was like, huh. What? I mean, I don't want clarification, frankly. But spell damage, let's take it. Take that one. Now we need to find a Fear Knot. I think we passed Fear Knots, actually. Yes. I think I marked it as Garbo. So where are you? Is it? Catch up. Come on, catch up. Come on. Damn you. Ugh. Honkai exclusively has female characters, probably playable at least. Oh, I see. Gotcha. There's some side dude characters, but nothing to write home about. Is that it? Boom. Fear not. Okay. Now we have to get our spell. Oh my god, I have no idea what our spell is actually. Our spell is not here. No, everything's glitched. That's what's happened. Great. The UI is so terrible. This is not a Furior purple. This is the legendary for gluttony. Anyways. Please don't crash my whole game. I just want to look and see. What is our spell called? Is that it? Yeah. It's Conjuro. Gotcha. I didn't mean to back out. Damn it. It's fine. Didn't look like it broke. Conjuro. There we go. Conjuro spells. It's also purple. These are all shields. Conjuro guns, Conjuro spells. What? I passed it? It's also cryo. So we're looking for Conjuro cryo. Is this it? Also, man, this is a side thing. I watched that Poppy's Playtime Part 2. What a weird thing. They're really monopolizing like the terror of a parent, but also like the clear weird lewd thing to like big waifus, you know. Some would say mommy energy or something. But there's a weird spider-like creature in that game, and it's every single person who's seen it is like, this is something. They're doing something. Okay. And I just find it so funny seeing everyone's weird reaction to things. But yes. I watched that this week, and I was like, kind of cool. Is this the one? I think this is the one. Yes, Frost, and I would like this one as well, because we maybe the all element doesn't stack. And fuck it, we'll take this one too. But boys, time to see if we're gonna be making some big boy damage or if it's gonna be a nightmare. I don't know, but I think we have a shotgun. Actually, I don't know if we have it, but it would be nice to have a shotgun that we could use as well. Also, we'll do this. Also, we'll take off all the other ones because I'm confused on where it's being held. This and this. Okay, we have. We're gonna put on the spell amplification, and we're also gonna slap on our spell that gives us cryo damage, baby. Boom. Is this right? No, that's the wrong one. But we already had a cryo spell. What the fuck, dude? We want that one. It's fine. Meteors. Okay. Let us go to the place and see if we can make things die faster. Well, granted, this is already, I think, fine. Fast enough, but you know. There is actually one playable male character in Honkai. Is it a trap? Or a femme? But I don't. I feel like trap may be insulting. I don't know. The person, gender fluid, whatever it be. In a specific open world. In a specific open world mode only though. Maybe more now. I haven't played in a long time. Plus, there's also, or as offshoot of furry, yes, reptile dragon is called Scalies. Gotcha. Oh well, I guess he's not part of the gotcha system, I bet. Which is why I was referred to. Gotcha. No, he is, as far as I know. Oh, I mean, the character is clearly inspired by tons of 90s, early 2000s. I simply being a play on words by Daddy Long. Yes, it's true. Yeah, it's true. I mean, what if anyone's seen the whole Poppy Playtime thing? What do y'all think? What do y'all think that freaky fucking hand thing is? Apparently, that's like an experiment 106 or some shit, which apparently is like super intelligent, but also like is gonna fuck shit up. What, dude? That moment in that damn thing, or that fucking weird like it's like Poppy, not Poppy. What the fuck is it? It's the main huggy. Huggy, mommy, whatever the mom version of like Huggy's wife or something. She creepily walks in there with like super like kawaii eyes and is like, and like her fucking limbs are all fucking dangly and shit, and she's trying to like tap the switch, and you're like, what the fuck? And then she just stops there and looks at you like, hey, and then just trails off. To me, as much as there's a lot of weird fuckery going on with NFTs with the Poppy Playtime thing, but it is pretty cool. Like, what do you call it? Game Theory made a point about this, which I liked, was basically that like you don't really see like horrifying like enemies or like not enemies, monsters, or like horror monsters, whatever we want to call them, that have like this kind of consistent flowy motion. It's usually always like jagged. It's like werewolf. It's not like this kind of almost like dancing, like watery kind of thing. So I thought that was pretty neat, seeing that in the game. Also, ladies and gentlemen, it's not my kind of game that I play, but it is one of the most, if I could give you a content recommendation before I leave you today, it's a video coming out today. It was about Wonderlands, us showcasing a build. Anyways, but self-advertising aside, it's the Evil Dead played on a high level. There's a new Evil Dead game. If you're into the whole Dead by Daylight, Friday the 13th kind of like horror mod, all of those seem fun, but Evil Dead, the one that we've seen on like streams a couple times, seeing somebody play that on a high level is super satisfying. It also looks super satisfying just to play as like the Overlord. Like they seem like they genuinely came up with like a lot of gameplay improvements for what it means to be like the stalker or the killer or like the bad guy. Where like you literally play as a spectral ghost, like flying through a forest, like detonating traps and like collecting this like dark essence, and then you can like level up your abilities. Kind of like reminds me of Evolved to some extent, but faster. You guys remember that game, Evolved, where you can like level up, like you can summon like baby ads that you can like throw at enemies, and then you can summon like elite ads that have like fucking badass leather jackets because it's the Evil Dead crazy universe. And then you can also, You can also like inhabit one of, like you can possess one of the enemies and actually play, like throw down. It seems like the balancing is like, normally these games seem to be super skewed, and maybe it still is, but I was seeing a game that I was actually pretty close. Like the survivors kept having full health, kept having zero fear. It was really interesting to see. Yeah, if you guys want to see some like cool gameplay, it's that game played on like a pretty high level. The guy who I always watch is a guy named Cartoons. He always plays those kinds of games, and yeah, he kind of gets really into them to where I think he performs pretty good with them. I don't play them, so I can't really tell, but no, I think it's fun. That was a game that's a bit of content that I would highly suggest, because I watched that this morning. I was like, I could keep watching. I watched 2 videos or 20 minutes apiece. All right, I was like, I don't like this a lot. Unfortunately, there was no more videos to watch, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll hang out, do something else. It was early morning. It wasn't much to do. Also, Red says, I enjoy watching a Poppy gameplay, seeing Jacksepticeye's eye play it, and actually a small, yeah, like a cameo. Yeah, our boy was sitting there with I don't know what they did with his voice, or if that was him. He gave his voice a lot of high pitched nature, but maybe they did that in editing or post processing stuff. But apparently he does all of that like voice acting work for free, and that's why he's able to get into so many voice acting things, which is cool. Especially with him, who's like, I don't know, I always like when I see stuff like that, or when somebody has like kind of made it financially, and they're kind of like, fuck it, why would I I mentioned that in passing, but like I think certain actors, it's almost like, well, if I take a loss in this particular shoot or this particular job, then it makes my agent have a harder time of selling me and getting me bigger deals because I worked for so little here. Why would he want such high here? So I can see that being a limiting factor, but the fact that he's like, I don't need any more. I can make my YouTube channel still makes more, like still makes plenty, so that's interesting. Red says, I read that Poppy, Fluffy says, Nub says, Poppy's playtime is getting flack for stealing the game idea, apparently. Man, I don't know if any game can really, or any person can really say that. Because to me, it just seems like, Yeah, to me the whole concept of stealing an idea has to be pretty one-to-one, or else it's just inspiration. Like everything is taken from something else, unless it's like pretty one-to-one. I think that's where there becomes a problem. But the argument to me is always, well, if it was stolen, then why is Poppy's playtime so much more successful than the other things? You know, that's my kind of sense on when people say they stole my idea. When it's like they may have took inspiration from a part of it, but unless it's 100% one-to-one copy, why didn't you make the most of your idea? And again, there's a kind of a fine line. You don't want people just to gouge everything that you've had. But I think, again, to me, it's always like a one-to-one thing. Like you just gotta one up the next person who one upped you, essentially. Fluff says, I watched Iron Mouse highlights of her playthrough, and definitely one of those less inspired horror games. Thanks to the likes of Five Nights at Freddy's, it's definitely one of those less inspired horror games, thanks to the likes of Five. Oh, really? I feel like it's way more inspired than a lot of the horror games I've seen currently. Well, I guess it's what you want from horror. To me, it reminds me of like Portal meets say not even FNAF. Yeah, I mean, it makes me feel like a Portal meets like a classic. It feels more film based, which is why I think I get the Portal feeling of it. It almost feels like there's like you're the main protagonist, whereas in a lot of horror games you feel like a fucking like a rat running through a maze that's not your own, you know. Whereas you feel like the main protagonist in this one. Yeah, I would say it's quite inspired, frankly. Like with a lot of the designs and whatnot. Unless I misunderstand what you're saying, Fluff. There's a lot of negative stuff around the dev. Yeah, no, I can see that there's a lot of like weird choices made by the devs, but the original concept I think is still fun. I hope I try to separate because to me I think it's clear that there's a marketing team and then there's people who are actually making fun lore game, etc. Red says the chase scenario certainly had me on the edge of my seat, even though I was only watching. Yeah, man. Well, I was watching the first time I've seen the chase scenario, man. It was like a mess. Like there's a lot of weird like mechanics in the game, or like not even mechanics, but it's just like it seems like things don't work perfectly a lot of the time. Also, I missed both of my things, but no, we're doing good. I just want to see if are our pixies able to detonate the AOE of our like thing, or did this not work in the way that I thought? And is it just the most demoralizing thing ever? I pixies should detonate the thing, because I don't think it specifies gun damage. Maybe it does. Shit. If that's the case, then we'll need to use guns with wings, which is, you know, well, it's not. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be better or worse, frankly, but well, that's doing so much spell damage. You think it'd be worse? Let's do barrage. No, I'm seeing a little bit of an AOE. A little bit of an AOE. It's not a lot. It seems like it's literally nothing. But the AOE, I mean, that's 1,000 just then. What happened to my pixies? Also go. Yeah, it's weird. I'm seeing like 1,000, and we're supposed to be doing 30% of what we're doing, damage-wise. So, I feel like something is not stacking. Granted, we could always do this. Yeah, it still feels like it's not hitting as hard. Like it seemed like it did much better when I was shooting, but it was detonating corrosive, so it's working. It's just something seemingly it's not stacking, because we should be doing like 10k, I think. It's impressive in regards to animation, but otherwise not my thing. Yeah, no, I understand. It may not be your thing. Yeah, that's fine. Fluff says, oh yeah, my friend wanted to get the game for himself and I, but he also wants a full group to fully enjoy it to its fullest. Yeah, I don't know. To me, I also think that it seems like a game that, I don't know, man. Those games have like founded a community. Like the Dead by Daylight community is popping off still, you know, and it's one of those ones that's weird. Like it's a niche community that's strong. You know, like sometimes niche communities are like, we're doing our best, we're having a good time. but that one's one of those ones that seems like they're able to raise a lot of money for charity. They seem like they have fucking insane concurrent viewers. You know, like the people who like it. Which I get it. It's pretty fun, especially I always like when people go hard in the paint for whatever it is. So like I used to watch a lot of Dead by Daylight videos where people would like role play essentially this like crazy killer, and it would of course be like angled towards comedy more. But to me, I always found that very fun. Of like someone just making this weird, freakish character that was like a loner incel, who is the one like stabby character. The other person who was like a clown who was a freak in a different way, you know? And that sounds like Jack to me, just him flexing his acting chops. Wow, has he developed acting in his time, or like in a certain period? I mean, probably kind of games, not games like Evil Dead. I do enjoy watching any type of competitive game at all, or I do not enjoy watch. Oh, you don't enjoy watching any competitive game at all? Interesting. Fluff says, seeing as he's also friends with Ryan Reynolds, he was one of the main cameos in Free Guy too. Is he friends with Ryan Reynolds, or has he just interviewed him? Because maybe I only see the interview with him, with Ryan Reynolds at what I think it was advertising. Maybe not Free Guy, but are they like legit friends, or are they just like kind of like we're in the same space kind of thing? I would love to hear that he's a friend of them. That'd be cool. But I've always yeah. I guess it kind of makes sense, but yeah. Something weird's going on with the build. Let's take off things one at a time and see what's not contributing. We'll do this, and we'll do. I guess we just need to have one or the other, right? We have barrier for 10 seconds after activating barrier. Gun damage and ability damage has a 25% chance. I mean, I guess our pixies aren't considered guns, but we're still seeing a proc. Is it that we're firing our thing? Oh, maybe that's what's happened. Maybe we're hitting with them in an ability. That might be what's happening. I think we're hitting them with our bow, and that bow hit is applying a status, and that status is detonating for a damage, and that's why we're seeing like 1,000, but it's not actually. Yeah, let's see. Let's test. I thought I'd seen somewhere where this works. That's why I was like way more confident about it. Also, do you know when you like? What, I thought you punched. Oh no, do we have a pick? Do we have a pickaxe? When did we pick that up? Smith's pick? What? When did that happen? I guess I equipped that accidentally. There we go. Weird. Anyways, we're gonna do one of these, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this. It's not considered a thing. Well, maybe I see a little purple. Little bit of no, I see. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's status or something. No, we're seeing a crowd. Yeah, so that's something. Or is that you? It might be you rat. My mushroom man might be throwing 1,000 damage thing. So we might not be scaling barrage off of that. So maybe, just maybe. I don't know if it's possible to get a guns with wings pistol with cryo. Oh man, so maybe we just go damage. I don't like it. I don't like it as much. Also, what a nightmare. We just spent so much time getting this one prefix and it's not even harmonizing with the thing. What the fuck? Oh. Quickly! Deal a damage dot before my stupid mushroom can throw something at you. Yeah, see, I think my mushroom hits something. I don't think it detonates. Granted, we could shoot him. Technically, our gun is firing, and it does deal damage. It's not a great answer, but it is a answer. Maybe it's better to have a shotgun then. A shotgun with multiple pellets, with guns with wings, with that on it. Because each like 12 shots would have a chance of detonating with an AoE. Holy shit, has it been a millennia or what, Mad Hatter? How have you been? Golly. There is an upcoming addition to the Resident Evil franchise, DBD. Think it is Mr. X. Okay. Oh, but to the Dead by Daylight community? Gotcha. Yeah, Mr. X. All right. Flowing says, all right, I have finally finished my latest drawing and turned out great. I tried something new, shading techniques and hair and shadows. Only thing I need to work on is consistency. Okay, can't wait to see it, buddy. Hopefully you put that in the thing. I would love to see it. Go focused, AKD by D, it sounds like. Granted, it'll be more, playing a lot more Valorant lately. PvP games question me, probably simply the next more recent genre of the horror like FNAF, Bendy, and Ink Machine, etc. Yeah, no, I definitely think it's a yeah, like a thing people enjoy, like a genre people have always found it interesting. Red says, only thing I know about Valorant is watching Angry Joe rant about how stupid expensive skin. Yeah. Fluff says, playing off of retro products, media, throwing jump scares and such, it's not fun for those games at all. You can just run and hide from the monster ever since Amnesia and Outlast. I mean, it's the same sort of price range. Riot, franchise, oh yeah, as far as fun as like playing them, I don't have much fun playing them, but I do like the lore and like the weird storytelling that they do. Rumor is Albert Wasker is upcoming from DBD 2, and he should be interesting. Okay. They're friends. They've been on friendly terms in interactions outside of the. Yeah, no, I think they're friendly. To me, friends are like, hey, Ronald, how's the day, bud? What's good? You know, like it's somewhere you check in. I don't know. I think maybe. I mean, it makes sense, but they both seem like they would vibe together. It's not like I'm not coming at it from that perspective, but it's a little surprising for me. Not surprising. Again, it makes sense, but I just like, I don't know. Maybe it's fucked up. But I think Ryan. I can't say his name, fuck. I think of Ryan Reynolds in a kind of way, I guess. Yeah. Do this. Also, I wonder if... Interesting. You guys want to try that? So if our ability damage can detonate these AoEs, I wonder if that means that our tornado can actually do pretty good damage then. Also, I think our tornado is considered cryo. So I wonder if our tornado can actually pack a punch. Now, granted, we're not doing a lot of extra damage things, but that makes sense why we're not seeing big numbers. So we'll put that back on. But I do want to see what happens when we slap on a tornado and see if that actually can detonate a lot of cryo procs. Granted, the tornado doesn't hit particularly hard, but it hits a lot, so it should be able to detonate a lot of those things. Let's see. Oh, so shit, we should be end the stream, guys. Golly. Red says it'll be Nemesis is better in D&D rather than the RE3 remake. Oh, I see you want OG Nemesis? Hatter says check their anniversary Steam. Not really in Dead by Daylight. He is very laggy. Okay. I'm actually playing Dead by Daylight right now. I'll watch. Oh God, man, I don't know how people do that. You must just normalize anxiety. Because Jesus. Whenever I see that game played, I'm like, this looks like hellish. Like a real rough time. A real rough go of it. I mean, it's not bad. It's not detonating the thing. So does your tornado not considered... How weird. Yeah, we were doing ability damage. Is it? Yeah, when you activate your... Oh. Them sons of bitches. After activating... your barrage. Oh, it's also barrage. It's also specifically barrage. So it's not tornado. Well, a tornado actually, with all the activation and chance, melted. Actually, well, it could have been our pixies. Probably our pixies, actually. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We have made some ground. Some ground. Okay, amounts of ground. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me catch up on chat before I leave you. Not really a DBA. It's very lucky today. I live with 2 teenage boys with autism. I'm used to the anxiety. Yeah, man, that's a hell of a forge, man. Adder. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully I can see you, and not tomorrow because it's Wednesday, but Thursday, baby. Thank you all for your time. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your night. There is a video coming out right now that is a Wonderlands video showcasing one of our viewers' fantastic builds. So check that out if you so desire. Thank you kindly for your time, and goodbye, my friends.